Okay, we're continuing with the book Prevent and Reverse Hypertension. We're on part 4. Okay, we just sort of the last time tailed off with this picture here. And basically, there's God's way and there's man's way. And again, some people tell me, oh, you shouldn't talk about Christianity. I got news for you. Almost everything good in the world, the vast majority of it, comes from Christianity. I say that, seriously. Most of the good art. Where do you think the scientific method came from? It came from Christianity, because Christianity says, tell the truth, do the right thing, be fair. That which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me, meaning that you be nice to the poor person, the helpless person, okay? And you don't screw them over for the sake of money. Whereas what we have now, what our country runs on in the United States of America, it runs on atheistic Darwinism. Atheistic Darwinism says, might is right, survival of the fittest. It says that mankind is nothing but a talking ape. We have no obligation to talking to apes. Okay, if that's what mankind is, just an ape that talks, then you have no obligation to him. Why don't you just rip him off? Okay, that's why conventional medicine rips people off so commonly. Okay, so people have a hard time dealing with this, but isn't it obvious? Just look around you. Okay. But anyways, this is what it comes down to. Okay, and this has been said by a lot of people. And there was a famous lady doctor who used to say this all the time, and she was absolutely right. She said, there's God's way and there's man's way. Lorraine Day, okay? Man's way is lie to the patients about diet, tell them paleo, keto, carnivore, Mediterranean, so they all get fat and sick. And then when they come for help, give them a bunch of drugs, which don't really work too well, and they get sicker and sicker. And then tell them, oh, the drugs failed you, let's do surgery. That's pretty much standard medicine. The patients, give up all their money. They trust the doctor and the system. They end up broke, prematurely dead. They suffer a lot. That's man's way. And the average chump thinks that's intelligent. I can tell you, the average doctor thinks that's intelligent. They don't know any better. Here's God's way. Just eat the plant foods you're designed, based on Genesis 1:29. And you're probably not going to get that sick. You might need the medical system here and there for a few things, trauma, scratch up a wound, things like that. Religious people are a lot healthier. Get your sunshine, get your exercise, maintain your relationships, have a sense of purpose, do what you believe God wants you to do, what's good with your life, okay? And you have to pay for food anyway, so it's usually free. It works a lot better. You're much more likely to live longer and healthier. That's how it works, okay? People want me to say some new, fancy, complex thing, but it's not. This is the best stuff. I'm trained in high tech. I'm as high tech as a doctor gets, okay? Imaging-guided surgeon and a neuroradiologist. I had done half a fellowship in imaging-guided brain surgery. I'm very familiar with high-tech stuff. And I'll tell you, it's the low-tech stuff that makes you healthy most of the time. Once in a while, the high-tech stuff will come through for you, but most of the time, it's just low-tech stuff. All the patients pretty much have the same disease, almost all of them. Almost all of them are hypertensive, then they get pre-diabetic, then diabetic, causing atherosclerosis in their heart, in their brain, in their Johnson, in their eyes, in their ears, everywhere. It's a big disaster. Okay, so here's the basic types of fat. Sat fat has no double bonds. You just see this up and down line. MUFA means monounsaturated fat, so there's one double bond. PUFA is polyunsaturated fat, like an omega-6 here and an omega-9. Okay, the methylene bridge carbon in between has a hydrogen coming off above and below. These hydrogens are easily plucked off, and the cell can undergo lipid peroxidation reaction, which is a harmful reaction, converts it into a free radical, often initiates a chain reaction that destroys the molecule in the local tissue. So that's why I'm not a big fan of PUFAs. I'm not a big fan of these supplements, because I think you're very high likely to have lipid peroxidation problems, both in the processing of the chemical, when the company makes it, and then in the storage, and then especially if you cook it or you heat it up, and just when it enters your body, okay? All right, so in my opinion, there's no good fats. And again, I know there's some nice people out there that read the modern literature and they come to the conclusion that dietary fats are good and supplements with omega-3 are a good idea, or olive oil. And there are some well-meaning people who've read the literature and say that, but I think they have not read it that carefully. And I also think they haven't read the old stuff. The old stuff's much more reliable before all the corporations got involved. Most of the literature nowadays on things like olive oil and omega-3 is corporate funded, and it's bogus, okay? If you go back and read Pritikin, McDougall, and then look at these patients, they weren't supplementing, they weren't looking around for extra fat. Okay, and fat is obesogenic, diabetogenic, atherogenic. It's bad. As Nathan Pritikin had said, fat is bad. Okay, saturated fat means saturated. All the carbons are saturated with hydrogens. Oh, here's some of the papers, like the Blankenhorn study. No matter what type of fat you ate, all fats were atherogenic. It didn't matter if it was MUFA, PUFA, omega-3, omega-6, they were all atherogenic. The only way to reduce coronary artery disease, you must reduce total fat intake. That was written by Dr. McDougall, page 136 of Starch Solution. A page by a guy named Rudell, I think it's Lawrence Rudell, MUFAs and atherosclerosis. And the bottom line was MUFAs were not atheroprotective. That's like olive oil compared with sat fat. Okay, there's the African green monkey study, and the author here is Sawyer, 1995, and there was no atheroprotective benefit for changing between dietary sat to MUFA. So what they're saying is animal fat is sat fat, MUFA is monounsaturated fat, like olive oil, and there was of no benefit. The African green monkeys are known for having physiology with regard to atherosclerosis very much like humans. So I'm saying it was a loser. Omega-3s increase risk of AFib and prostate cancer, and they're obesogenic, and they're atherogenic, and in the long run they make you fat, and it's more risk of diabetes too. So it's a loser. Okay, we do need to eat a tiny essential amount of omega-3s and omega-6, but we can get those from eating low-fat plant foods. Dr. Pritikin wrote extensively about this, as did Dr. McDougall, and I don't see these epidemiology populations seeking out extra omega-3 and omega-6s. I haven't seen that to be relevant. I think people are focusing on the wrong thing. Hypertension, diabetes, obesity, atrial fibrillation. That's what I see all day long, every day. And coronary artery disease, cerebral vascular disease, atherosclerosis, bad, brain arterial disease, atherosclerosis. So Ulysses and the Sirens. This is all the siren song. Come, buy my vitamin D supplement, buy my iodine supplement, buy my olive oil. You know, don't be tricked into all that. Is what I would say. Okay, I've made videos about all those topics on my channel. If you want to watch a video about, what I think, why I think flax is bogus and olive oil is bogus and nuts and seeds are bogus, all the videos are there. And if I ever get canceled from YouTube, I'll just go to the other video channels. You know what they're called, RUM, then BLE, or the one that sounds like the Greek story up here, Odyssey, etc. So if you send me an email too, then I'll be able to contact you if I get kicked off YouTube, and I can email you to let you know where I'm at. But you can also just search for me. I'll be at one of the other video channels. Okay, some corporations literally pay so-called nutrition experts who've sold out over $1 million a year to promote olive oil. Who knows how much they're paying them to promote other products. I don't get paid anything, and I'm ostracized from the bro science circuit, from the high-fat phony circuit. So, and I'm a Christian. I just do this because I know it's the right thing. In all of my medical training, I've been a doctor over 30 years, there's nothing anywhere near as powerful as a low-fat vegan diet. Okay, and I come out of the legacy school of Walter Kempner, Dennis Burkitt, Nathan Pritikin, Richard Moore, Gregory Sloop, John McDougall, Caldwell Esselstyn, B. Green with Amy, Jeff Nelson, Mike Young, and others like that. Low-fat vegan. That's what's proven best, and it goes way back. As Jeff Nelson said, he's been going to nutrition conferences or sponsoring them for, over 25 years, or around 25 years, okay? And low-fat vegan, that's where all the cures came. Walter Kempner, it was almost like a miracle. You see patient after patient, cure. And you see the same thing coming out of Nathan Pritikin's low-fat diet. It wasn't 100% vegan, but he was in that direction. And then McDougall was 100% vegan. Esselstyn, same thing. That's what does it, okay? Okay, and I want to be remembered as one of the best doctors, so I'm not going to sell out. All right. Let's see. Christ said, that which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. That's who I answer to Christ. And that's the only thing that could save healthcare or nutrition. Let's say. Well, I have a lot of jokes in the book. I said if I had to live off my income from this vegan diet stuff, I'd be a poor MF. I don't make any money off of this. I do it because it's the right thing. Okay, the hypertension seesaw. So these are the things that make you healthier. Get your sunshine, get your exercise, be religious. All the plant foods got the dietary fiber, prevents amyloid clotting, prevents leaky gut. The plants themselves give you potassium, magnesium, and the green plants, the more nitrates, precursors for nitric oxide. Here's all the bad stuff. Dietary fat, dietary sodium. It's impossible, it's virtually impossible to eat any chosen diet and end up being too low in sodium, okay? Yanomamo ate hardly any sodium. Excessive stress, sleep deprivation, caffeine, all these things make you worse off in terms of increasing your hypertension. Sedentary, alcohol, becoming diabetic, all right, smoking tobacco. All right, so if you do those things, your hypertension gets worse. If you do these things, your hypertension is likely to improve. All right, I think we'll stop right there. I hope you found that helpful.